Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. I just thought that I was actually thinking about something, and I know my son's um, happy birthday stuff is still in the background. We haven't taken that down. Um, but what I wanted to get out here and say is this is like a woman's empowerment video or speech or whatever you want to call it. And I know here lately I have been uploading videos on my channel in regards to relationships, and I just want to let women know that I haven't always done everything right. Like, I've been in some bad relationships. I've been in situations with the wrong men. I've been in relationships with men that I've stayed there. I mean, I've stayed there for months and even years, and just not even realizing that this was bad for me and that this was not healthy, this was not stable. And that I'm also just now realizing this, and I'm also just now getting like tapping into and really recognizing your self-worth and your self-value, and really working on self and personal development, just like really working on yourself, because this is what I believe. Like, I've just now starting to get this, and I'm not young. I'm not a young girl at all. And I'm just now actually getting this. Like, you don't have to put up with being disrespected. You don't have to put up with being abused or mistreated. You don't have to put up with being fronted out or being placed in front of a whole lot of people, and then he wants to decide to embarrass you and front you out and things of that. Like, you don't have to be with someone that basically sees you as less than, you know what I mean? And, I'm superior over you, I control you, I rule you, and all of that, because a lot of that is going on in relationships where a man sees himself as so superior to a woman, and he views a woman as just so less than himself, when a woman is a female version of him. When a woman, he's supposed to view a woman as the one that walks beside him, you know what I mean? And that he's supposed to honor a woman and handle her with care, you know what I mean? And handle her appropriately. And I've been in bad relationships, and I'm just now getting this stuff myself. But what I realized is that if I stayed there, then that is what I was going to keep on receiving and keep on getting. you know this is what I believe, that the reason we keep choosing the wrong people to be in the relationship with is because a lot of times it's just something going on with inside of you. There was something going on with inside of me. There was a void, there was a hole, there was a need for attention, a need to be loved, and when you are feeling that way, you'll do whatever it takes to get and keep a man, because you have this emptiness inside of you and you have some issues. That's what it is. It's just issues that you have going on with inside of you, and you feel like this man or this relationship is gonna fix you, it's gonna make you whole, and it's gonna cause all of your problems to go away. But the reality of it is, if you are in the relationship with the wrong man, then your problems have just really got started. Like, you think you going through some issues now, get hooked up with the wrong person, and you really going to be experiencing some things. And I went through a lot. And I found myself on this cycle. I found myself just on this continuous pattern, and I just kept choosing the wrong men just over and over and over, and not being able to just say no. Sometimes we can't walk away and just say no, that's not for me. We just choose to engage with it. We choose to entertain it, and next thing you know, we're in a full-blown relationship with someone that you knew even from the beginning that this person was not even right for you. This person was not even fit for you. The two of you had nothing in common. The two of you was not even compatible. Like, I was in a relationship, and we were so different. We were so different that we never agreed on anything. We was that different. We was that different. We didn't belong together. We did not belong together. And because we were like night and day. I mean, the littlest thing we could not even agree on. The littlest thing, like what are we going to eat for dinner, we couldn't even agree on. And something that small and something that simple always ended up in like a full blown argument. And it was just like, it was unhealthy, it was toxic. And I had to make a change in order to know different, in order to see different, in order to do different. And I'm just now getting it. I'm just now getting it. And this is what I want to say to the ladies, that you don't have to stay there. You don't have to stay there. Just like I'm getting it, you can get it too. You can get it too. But I had to walk into this. I had to realize this. It was like a light bulb went off in my mind. Something happened. Something snapped, and then that's when I woke up, and that's when I realized, like, man, I'm just on this cycle of just being in the wrong relationships with the wrong people. And this is what I want to say: until you actually tap into that, until you actually realize that you keep finding yourself being in the wrong relationship, you keep choosing the wrong man, that until you actually tap into that, then it doesn't matter what anyone says to you. You'll zone them out until you actually know for yourself that this is wrong. This is not good for you. This is not healthy. This is toxic, because that's what happened to me. I was in a wrong relationship, but I could not see that this relationship was not right for me. And everybody was telling me, and I would get so upset, and I would get so defensive, and I would be like, oh, they just don't want to see me happy. They just don't want to see us together. They're mad because they're not in a relationship and I am. But the reality of it was that they were able to see at that time what I couldn't see. You know what I mean? Because at that time, the relationship and him is all that mattered to me. So I didn't care about what anybody had to say. I didn't care. I just did not care. So I zoned everybody out that was telling me, like, people would tell me things like, how did you get hooked up with him? Like, the two of you are so different. And I had to actually realize how different we were. But as long as I was so caught up in him and caught up in the relationship, I couldn't see that. And one day, it took years later, down the line, something just snapped and something just basically came together in me. And that's when I realized, like, man, all these years, and I also want to say to ladies too, that sometimes that's all it is. All these years, that's all we have. That's all we have. And it makes me think about, I was watching that movie Love Jones, and when Nia Long had said to her ex, when she decided that she wanted to go back to her ex because she wanted to see if she still loved him. But there was one part in the movie, and there was a scene in the movie where he said to her, after all of these years, and she said, after all of these years, that's all we have, and that's not enough. And sometimes, ladies, we're in relationships with a man for years, and when it's all said and done and over with, that's all it was. It's just like, that's all it was. Very little good times. It was more so bad times. It was very, very minimum. I can think more about the bad times that me and this person have. I can't think of so much of the good times, and that's terrible. That's terrible when you've been in a relationship with a man for years, and very minimum you can think of good times, because it was so many bad times. It was so many times where I was just weak. It was so many times where I was voiceless, and I was so defeated. I was so helpless. There were so many times where I just cried and I just cried and I just cried myself to sleep. It was bad. And I just want to let someone know that you're actually going to have to come to that place, because people were telling me that this isn't right, but I didn't care because I was so in tuned and so consumed with him and the relationship, that what anybody had to say about it, I didn't care. I didn't care. I had to actually wake up myself. I had to get to that place. It didn't matter what anybody else was telling me. People can tell you stuff until you blue in the face, but until you actually realize that, until you actually wake up and realize, oh my goodness, this is bad. And that if I decide to stay here, it's a possibility that this thing is not going to end well. Until you realize that, until you are actually done, because sometimes, ladies, we say we're done with him, but we're really not done with him. I'm done, I'm mad, leave me alone, don't call me. But he just gives you time to cool down, and then a few days later, or later on in that day, he's back at your house, he's back in your bed. So you're not done. You have to actually get to a place, until something breaks, until something gives. And that's when you're like, okay, I'm done with this. I'm done. I'm really done this time. Because when a woman is done that time, like done this time, she's done. Like, that's when you have actually really got fed up. And this time it has broke the camel's back. And that's when you have actually woke up. You know what I mean? And like, I just wanted to get on here and say that I'm just now getting this. But I knew that I had to make a change. I knew I had to do something different in order to experience difference. In order to experience something different. In order to experience something different, in order for me to actually tap into knowing who I am, and knowing my worth, and knowing my value, and knowing what I deserve, and that I don't have to settle. And that's what I want to tell you, ladies. You do not have to settle. If you find yourself having to become someone else, or become something that he feels he needs from you, like if you feel like you have to change and become something or someone else just for him, then he's not the one for you. You know what I mean? If he's trying to change you, or trying to get you to be something or someone because this is just what he wants, if you really don't know who you are, then it's a possibility that you just let him rule. You'll let him control. And you'll just give in to whatever he wants you to do, and you'll just give him whatever he wants you to give him. And there were so many times that I experienced that, and you have to get there. Because if you don't get there, you will find yourself just on this merry-go-round, and you're going to be like, oh my goodness, why do I always find myself here? Why do I always find myself back at square one? Like, this is where I started at, and now I'm back here again in another bad relationship, in another toxic relationship with the wrong person, and things like that. And something just snapped in me. Something came together in me, and I believe it was God. Honestly, it was God. I had recommitted myself back to God. Because when I was in this relationship pulled me out of the church. It pulled me outside of the will of God back into that which was of the world. So I was in the church. I was saved. God had just called me into ministry and everything. I was in the church. I was saved. I was in the church. I was speaking in tongues. I was in the pulpit praying, preaching and everything. God had called me into ministry and everything. And I got hooked up. And see, that's what happens when you get hooked up with that which is not in God's will for you. It pulls you outside of God's will. It doesn't keep you in God's will. It doesn't cause you. It doesn't influence you. It doesn't compel you to go after the Father. It's designed to pull you away from the Father. And that's what this relationship did, And I had to I had to own that. I had to eat that up. I had to endure the consequence of that, the consequence of my actions. And when that happened, I blamed the church. I blamed the people in the church. I felt like they didn't cater to me enough. They didn't talk to me enough. They didn't spend enough time with me. But then it came a time when God has said to me, well, when are you going to start holding your own self accountable? Like, you can't keep blaming people, because at the end of the day, you did what you did. You know what I'm saying? And that's what I had to realize. At the end of the day, I chose to leave the church. At the end of the day, I chose to get outside God's will and engage and be in a relationship, in the wrong relationship with the wrong person. At the end of the day, I chose that, and I had to own that. I had to eat that. And it was a very dark place for me when I was in that relationship. I was so defeated. I was so helpless. I was voiceless. I mean, it's like I couldn't do nothing for myself. It's like I had no mind. I couldn't think for myself. I couldn't do for myself. I was just so much dependent upon him in that relationship, and that's all that mattered at that time. And yeah, it was a very dark place, a very dark place. And I just want to also let you all know that do not let nothing or no one pull you away from God. Don't let nothing or no one drive a wedge between the relationship that you and God have, because you need God. You need him. And if this man cannot serve God with you, and you are a woman of God who has a relationship with God, he's not the man for you, and vice versa. Because if you are a child of God, and if you're with a man or even a woman that's rising up against God, that person is also rising up against you, because you are God's child. So not only is that person against God, that person is against you, because you are a child of God and you serve him, and you have opened up your life to him. You have accepted him as your personal Lord and Savior. So if someone can rise up against the Father, they are rising up against you. They are against you because you are his child. And we also have to be mindful of that too. So I just wanted to get on here and say that, like, you can do it, but you have to get to that place. Something is going to have to break. Something is going to have to give. And as I speak about relationships and things on my channel, I'm just now getting this. I'm just now walking into this. I'm just now discovering who I am. God is just now bringing me and my purpose together, because I was not always there. I wasn't. I've been in all the relationships that I've been in has been wrong relationships. And I did not know that until I got saved. Until God called me. I did not know that. Every relationship that I've ever been in has been wrong. And I'm just determined to just do this thing right. I'm just determined to do this thing right, and just to hold on to my self-worth, and hold on to my self-value, and continue to just work on myself each and every day. Don't you know that each and every day that God blesses us to see a new day is for us to do better, be better, make positive changes, good decisions, and good choices. Each and every day that he blesses us to see is an opportunity to do and be better. And that's what we have to aim for. Okay, before my laptop go out, it needs to be charged. I just wanted to get on here and say that. And that I believe that you can do it like I'm doing it. You can walk into it like I'm walking into it. And just do it. Just do it. You don't have to accept that. You don't have to accept what a lot of these men, or some of these men, are bringing to you. And I just wanted to say that. So if you like any of my videos on my channel as I continue to upload, my channel is new. Don't be afraid to subscribe and to click that notification bell, so each time I upload a video, you will be notified. Thank you so much. Bye.